Hi everybody, and welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reid, and today we are here for my weekly Stitch with me, so let's get started. Well, good morning or good evening everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Nicole, and today, as I said, we are here for my weekly Stitch with me. As you can hear, I actually have a cold, so I do apologise if my voice is a little croaky. I have my microphones on, and hopefully it's picking me up okay. Alright, so we are working on Snow Village today, and we're going to get some more stitches in. I've been doing a little bit of mapping out, and when I say mapping out, I am doing all the half legs, and I am now at a point where I can come on and stitch a little bit with you, and I don't need the chart, because that's always a bit of a problem when we're trying to stitch away and I've got to check the chart. So I'm all organised today. I am doing my piece as a one piece, so I'm going to be turning this into a cushion when it's finished, and we are up to the frozen hot chocolate house. So that picture's not the best, so I'll get rid of that. And I'm I'm sorry that I'm a bit sick today, but yeah, I tried to avoid my family as much as I could. Obviously they coughed and hacked over everything, and I wasn't as vigilant as I thought I was. Alright, so it's the frozen hot chocolate shop that we're working on, and this is what it looks like. This is where I'm up to right now, and so we're just going to get some stitches in and have a little bit of a chat about what I've been up to. So as you can see, I have got threads everywhere. I've even got some side tensioners on, because this is going to be in here for a little while before I move it. These are temporary, and I talked about that on my Flosstube. So if you didn't see Flosstube, that was last Friday, so you can go and check that out. So I'd just like to say welcome to everybody that is new here. I don't normally sound this bad, so hopefully the microphone is picking up my voice okay. So if you are new here, hi and welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, hi and welcome back. If you are new here or a returning viewer and you've not yet subscribed, maybe think about hitting that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it to all notifications, and then that way you're not going to miss out on anything that I post up. And I promise you I will sound a lot better next time we meet for our Stitch with me. I have been awake since 2 o'clock this morning. It is a semi-overcast day here in Kingaroy. And it has just gone 7 a.m. I had to wait till 7 o'clock to start recording. I would have done it earlier and you would have already had this video up by now, but yeah. But anyway, we're here now, and that's all that matters. Alright, so you can see here that I've got it all mapped out. So I'm just doing the last part of the cross, and I've got a little bit to put in there. I wasn't too happy. There was a little bit of fluff on the thread that was here, so I just pulled it out, and I've got some more thread that is a little bit neater, so I'll just finish those crosses when I get up there. So the house has been full of sick people for the last 2 weeks actually, because Brendan got sick first, and he banished himself, and so he didn't make me sick. And then Savannah and Narralee went and dropped the puppy off, and then on Monday last week they were both home not feeling the best. Narralee was at work, sorry, but when she came home she wasn't feeling the best. Savannah was actually home from school, and we were talking about it the other day, and she's had quite a few days off in the last month or so through her teeth and then sickness. So yeah, I think that's the most time she's had off school since she started school, to be honest, and it all happens to be in her last 6 months of school, which is just ridiculous. But anyway, they're probably thinking she's slacking off. I will be taking short breaks to have a drink and possibly blow my nose. I did just take some cold and flu tablets, so hopefully that'll clear up my nose a little bit. I am trying not to just pulled my thread from my red off the magnet. There we go, that'll be fine there now. thought something was missing that wasn't here. I did have the red thread going out over to the magnet. You'll have to excuse me, I'm not with it. So on Saturday we had our slow stitching Saturday video go up, and in that video I show you how to hand sew a border on and what techniques you use, and that's been well received, so thank you to everybody that has watched that. I appreciate that. Friday we had our Flosstube go up, and thank you to everybody that has given me tips and tricks for the English paper piecing that went up on Thursday. We had our sewing tutorial last week as well, which was a zipper pouch, so you can go and suss that out as well. And on the weekend I pretty much took it easy. I did a little bit of stitching. I did a little bit of stitching on this, so I mapped out everything. These are all in the right place. We've worked out what the mistake is over here. And wouldn't you know it, as soon as I got off camera and I looked at the video, I spotted the mistake straight away. Looking at it, I would not have known, but on the camera it stood out. So instead of having two stitches between these two here, I've got 3. So that's pushed this over by 1. So everything else is in the right place. So I just thought, you know what, I'm not unpicking it. If it's not going to bug me, it'll probably bug someone on camera more than it's going to bug me. So I've got it in there now and I'm not worrying about it. And also I haven't finished the garland up here because I ran out of this dark green thread because I used it on a different project. So I've got some more of that now, and so I'll go up and I'll finish these off and then I can continue on. I actually used it in a Heaven and Earth design cross stitch, so I could continue on with that, and I'd used it all in that as well, so because there wasn't much of it left anyway. So I'm just waiting for some more to come in, and then I can, as I said, I was waiting for some more to come in, and then I can now continue on with this, and now I have enough for both projects, which is good. I love this time of morning. It's so quiet, everybody's still like asleep, the neighborhood's quiet. Yeah, I won't be staying on too long for today. As you can hear, my voice is a bit scratchy. I am going to endeavour to continue doing my videos this week. However, the row by row, I'm going to hold off until my voice is okay, and I'm sure that everybody can understand that. So when I release the row by row, I'll actually be releasing the last 2 rows at once, and I'm going to endeavour to have them done all by the end of this month. So it may be a case that one gets released one day, the next day the next one comes up, and the cross stitch I will just wait until both rows for the quilting is done, and then I'll release that. So for anybody that is waiting for that, I do apologise, but it can't be helped. And my husband didn't make me sick. The kids did, because they obviously don't care if they make mum sick, because they kept coming into my room, they kept walking around without masks on, and yeah, and they've made me sick. So now they get grumpy mum. And funny enough, as soon as they made me sick, I haven't seen hide or hair of them. They haven't come out of their room. Little turnips that they are. But anyway, I've got some cold and flu tablets. So I'll take some of those today, and hopefully that'll help. So I spent most of yesterday, which was Sunday, in bed, very cranky and irritable, so everybody avoided me. I did some I'm pretty much set up in there for cross stitch, so I did some on this, and then I worked a little bit more on Night Walk Down, and I did some secret stitching, which is for the magazine. So I started one of the charts for the Christmas one, which won't take me too long. I spent about an hour on that. I had a bit of a nap, and I watched Memoirs of a Geisha. So thank you to Viv. I couldn't find it. When I was looking, I swear that Stan and Netflix is like YouTube. You type something in, and then the next time you come to YouTube, your whole the whole recommended is full of all of that. Or you go and watch someone's channel and then all of a sudden all that stuff is there. So I went looking for it after I read the book, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Couldn't find it on Stan, couldn't find it on Netflix. Found it on Prime, but I didn't want to buy it either because it doesn't have great reviews. And so anyway, Viv done a Google search for me, Viv Sutherland, done a Google search and sent me a message and said, hey, I found it, it's on Stan. She goes, but I can't check because I don't have Stan. I'm like, okay, cool, no worries. So I went, and then life got busy and I didn't check. And then I thought, well, I'm in bed, it's the perfect time, it's going to make me watch it. Because I don't really have control of the TV in the lounge room. That's Brendan's domain. And I thought, well, I'm in the bedroom, I might as well watch it. So 45 minutes later, because the Xbox, I've got a smart TV on there, but it doesn't... No, I've got a TV on there that I run the Xbox through. It's not a smart TV, but I run the Xbox through it, and then I've got all the TV apps, and like Netflix and Prime and Disney and all those sort of ones. Anyway, I haven't watched TV in my room, it'll be close on 2 years, maybe longer. I very rarely watch TV. Actually, I don't really watch TV at all in my room. And so anyway, I sat there and had to do updates, and then I couldn't remember my login details, and narrowly wasn't answering my text messages because she usually remembers all the login details because she's got an Xbox, and she has to update every now and again, so I think she's got them all written down in her room so she doesn't have to keep asking us. And so anyway, that was fine. And 45 minutes later I got it. I thought, I'm going to be spewing what was I doing there? I thought, I'm going to be spewing if I do go through all this hassle to watch this movie and it's not even on here. Because sometimes I've searched for stuff and it says that it's there and then it's not. Sorry, my light, I just bumped my lights, touch light, so and then it's not there, and it's just like, it's a marketing ploy, I reckon. But anyway, it was there, and so I watched it. I was not impressed with the movie at all. They glossed over so many parts that were important, that would have made the movie so much more. And they glossed over it, so I wasn't real impressed. Like, it was okay. It was okay, but it wasn't the best movie that I've ever watched, so to speak, but it was still okay. Now, where is this? I've got it all up here. Just got to get it to move. Not that one. Oh, these are both going to come out. Yep, that'll be right. Oh, that's not up near anything anyway. So I've had some questions about me leaving threads and knots and all that sort of stuff over my work. I hate flipping my work, and so I leave the threads. So I've got a knot up here where I've started this, and you can see little threads poking out here and here. Now I've got this one here. I've got a waist knot and that down here. So basically what I do is I will just work my threads until I can't work them anymore, and then I will lay them across at the back, and then the threads get buried by themselves, and then I will just snip them off, and then I flip it over and make sure at the end, like when I'm finished, so after I'm finished filming with you, I'll have all these bits and pieces out everywhere, and then yeah, it's just a way of burying. I'm not overly concerned whether my back is perfect or not, because let's face it, I'm a stitcher that likes to stitch. I'm not a perfectionist when it comes to my backs, because no one sees your damn back. I understand that people get mildly obsessed with it, and kudos to you. I'm happy for you to do that. I'm not going to do that, and so you're probably going to judge the hell out of me. I have an untidy back and I don't care. But I do try to not have massive knots on the back. and stuff like that. But so for the most part, I use the waist knot method, and I just lie this here. So this, I've done my last stitch here, so this is now gone up here, and so it's getting all covered, like it's actually on a bit of an angle, so it's now going to get covered by these 3 stitches and then next lot of stitches as well. So yeah, I watched it. I mean, it was an okay movie, but like I was a little bit disappointed. So if you haven't read the book before, I've done a review on it over on my Dusty Book Sniffers, and so I'm just going to talk about the movie here. I'm not going to talk about the movie over there on that. So basically, I read the book and I really enjoyed the book. I listened to it a combination of audio and the physical read, because I've got the physical book here, and I got the book at a second-hand book sale that we had here in Kingaroy back in March, and I got it for like $2 or something, so I was pretty happy with that. And so after I read the book, I went and done a little bit of research on the author, because I'd never read anything by him before, and then I subsequently found out that he was he didn't know anything about the Japanese culture, didn't know anything about geisha. He had spoken to several geisha and whatnot, and he was being sued by a geisha who had spoken to him, and he used, and it was off the record, he wasn't supposed to use any of the, like, it was just to give him an idea. Now, I don't know what the end result was of that lawsuit, because it's probably got a non-disclosure thing on it, so I couldn't find anything about that. But apparently he was sued by the geisha that he spoke to, because there were far too many similarities between between some of the characters and her actual life. So she sued him for defamation, and as I said, I don't know what the outcome of that was. It was just something that came up. I don't know whether it like, there's nothing, there's no record apart from that saying that she sued him for defamation. So that got me a little bit intrigued to watch the movie. Normally I don't generally watch movies if they're being made into a book. I mean, if they're a book being made into a movie, I generally give them a wide berth. But this one actually had me a little bit intrigued. So I went and had it, like, it's a 2-hour and 20-minute movie. It was filmed in 2005, or released in 2005. The young girl that played Sayuri as a child, was her first time acting. She was great. She did a really good job. There could have been so much more depth to the characters, I think. Like, there was one, like, they missed out on all her childhood, like, leading up to the fact that when she was taken to Gion, to the Okia, and so they missed out on that part. So you sort of, unless you had read the book, you didn't really get much of the backstory of why. Like, it showed her getting woken up in the middle of the night, put into the back of a wagon with her sister, her dad doing it, handing him over to this man, but you don't know who the man is. You don't know, like, you don't even see him really. So you don't have that background. Now, that man that he was handed to is actually known to Sayuri and her sister, because he is the guy that owns because they're in a fishing village, and he's the gentleman that owns the business that all the people sell their fish to in the local area. And her mum is terminally ill, and so he knows this, because from taking her home, she cut herself down at the business, and he took her home, and he found out that her mother was terminally ill, and then he made the offer to the father. So you don't get any of that in the movie. So that's sort of, now I've read the book, so I had that backstory. I knew why she was being taken and where she was going. There's a whole thing that happens in the book where she's taken by that man before taken to the Okia. She's taken to an older lady, and she examines her to make sure that she's intact, because she's more valuable if she's intact. And when I say intact, meaning she's a virgin. And so she has the examination, and then basically it's about a couple of weeks later or something, or a week later, she's taken to Gion. Now when she gets to Gion, they did cover in the book she actually broke her leg, so that's why she couldn't meet up with her sister. She fell off the roof and broke her leg, or broke her ankle, and but in the movie she didn't. And that was the whole thing, because I think that was very key to it, because it was that point that she realised that she was never going to be a geisha and all the rest of it. So they sort of covered that, but they didn't. There was a whole lot of stuff that happened with the grandmother, and you only seen the grandmother right at the beginning eating some fish. It wasn't even relevant to the movie in the end. It was just, I did look away from the screen a couple of times. She actually was electrocuted in the book. And that was a turning point for the Okia as well. So there was a lot of stuff that I felt could have been included in the movie, and other stuff left out. There's a whole scene in the book, and the reason that she becomes the most valuable, the most sought after geisha in at the time, was because of her eyes and her beauty and all that sort of stuff, right? There's a whole scene in the book where she goes and sees an artist with her big sister. Okay, so her big sister is the geisha, senior geisha that looks after her and introduces her to everybody. Okay, now let's get one thing straight here. A geisha is not in the terms of a prostitute. She is an entertainer, but there are certain things to the geisha life that is for sale. So her virginity is for sale, and there's a bidding thing that goes on to it, and that's a big deal in the book as well, but they sort of glossed over it a little bit. I can understand why they glossed over it. I guess it's not great, because she's a kid, and she's 15 or 16 at the time, and so they glossed over that. And I just think there was a lot of stuff that they could have put into the movie that would have made the movie make more sense. And how it ended, the last 3 chapters are just completely missing from the book. From the movie. There was a whole other thing that happened that gave that movie closure, gave the book closure and all the rest of it. There's not going to be a part 2. And so really they really should have put that in, and they didn't. And the stuff around the war as well. There was stuff, it sort of didn't make any sense. It did and it didn't in the movie. So because, as I said, because I'm looking at this because I've read the book and I'm doing a comparison. Okay, so in the book, when the war breaks out, the geisha, their main goal is to get a dana. Okay, and a dana is a gentleman that looks after you. Okay, sets you up for life. You're his for life, basically. You're not enslaved to him in any way, but you are sort of they have their wives, and then they have their geisha. Okay, so it's essentially mistress. But she's very well respected and she's not mistreated or anything like that. Now, the main object is to get a dana that's going to take care of you, because essentially you're a girl that has no family and you've gone into the okia, and geisha is the way to go. Okay, so you get looked after by the okia, you pay back the okia, they make money off you by selling your time and you as an entertainer and all that sort of stuff. Now, there are prostitutes that are in a different part and they are treated as prostitutes, right? So this is the premise of the book, right? Okay, so Sayuri is a geisha and her sister was sold into prostitution, and she is in the beginning of the book and in the beginning of the movie, and basically they reconnect again. She's supposed to run away with her. Sayuri's supposed to run away with her. Now, she is sold into being a geisha because she's got these blue-grey eyes. She's very beautiful. She's striking, whereas her sister is average. And that's how they end up where they end up. And her sister has no context to the book or the movie either, so they've done that really well, exactly how the book was. She tried to get up with her. She broke her ankle, didn't meet up with her, and left. How she meets the businessman in the book and how it was portrayed in the movie was perfect. And because he was sort of the first person to show her kindness since she left home, she sort of essentially fell in love with him at that point. Okay. But then, like, she's become a geisha and World War II has broken out, and this is in the book, and everything's rationed, things are becoming scarce and all that sort of stuff. A lot of the okiyas and the tea houses are all closing, and because she had basically ended up with a general that you didn't even see him in the he was mentioned later on after the war, but you didn't even see him, because what happened in the book is he ended up being her dana, and so basically he would give them extra rations and all that sort of stuff, and that's why she was able to remain in Gion for so long. And then he got arrested for in the book he got arrested for embezzling stuff from the army, and so but this wasn't even touched on in the movie at all. And then she was taken off to some friends of the chairman and of another gentleman, and they basically she was taken off, and so was her big sister, who she's not related to. She's just a senior geisha. And so they had left Gion, and she went to live with some friends of his that were fabric dyers, and so she was dyeing of fabric and all that sort of stuff. There was even a part in the movie where what's his name? Nabor, I think his name is. He owns the electric company that, like an electrical appliance company. He's part owners, or he's something. They're CEO or something along those lines. The chairman owns it, and I think he helps run it. And he has a rock after the war. He has a rock that he gives to Sayuri because he wants to be her dana. And he's quite cross with her that she was, with the general, because it doesn't even really set up the fact of why he was so angry with her about it and stuff like that. And there was so much about the movie. Don't get me wrong, the movie's okay, but if you've read the book, you're going to be extremely, if you've read the book, don't waste your time with the movie. That's my recommendation, because it's 2 hours and 20 minutes of your life you won't get back. Now, let's talk about the stuff that the general public don't like about it. Is, one, the main actress was actually Chinese, not Japanese. It wasn't filmed in Japan. It was filmed in a Chinatown somewhere in the US. or a Japanese garden or something, somewhere like that, but it wasn't filmed in Japan. There was so many things that were wrong with the movie from a historical point of view. And these are just things that I've found on the internet that people didn't like and stuff like that. The Japanese people apparently were not impressed with it at all. And obviously we know that the geisha that sued him was not impressed at all. And but if you haven't read Memoirs of a Geisha, now it's not a true story either. That's another thing that a lot of people get confused about, that it's a true story. It's not a true story. It's not an actual memoir. It is a total work of fiction. And a lot of people get a bit confused by that. So just be aware that is, when you go into it, is not a memoir. But it is very well, I felt that it was a story well written. But then again, I'm not an analytical reader. I am someone that reads a story and I'll tell you whether I enjoyed it or not and why I enjoyed it. I don't look at the prose, all that sort of stuff. I have no interest in analysing something and tearing it to shreds. And for the most part, none of us are like that. A lot of us are. There are other people out there that analyse the hell out of everything, and that's great. If that's how you read, that's fine. But I don't. I know what I like. I know what I don't like, and I'll tell you straight up whether it's a good story or not. I can't write, so I'm not about to hassle the hell out of someone's writing. They've, put time and effort. It's essentially gave birth to this book. Okay, they've put a lot of time and effort into the book. And one would hope a bit of research too. And so I'm not about to sit here and go, the writing was this or the writing was that. Yeah, there are some books that I'll go, you know what, this was really badly written. But then, but who am I to judge? Like, I don't write books. So I can't sit there and judge someone that's, written a book and actually got published and sold millions of copies. But I wouldn't recommend you watching the movie if you've read the book, because you will be very disappointed. The next one that I'm going to talk about next week will be Gone Girl. I recently read that and watched the movie just recently as well. So I'll talk about the comparisons in that. I've got some stuff to say. Oh, dearie me, I've almost gone through my glass of water, and I don't normally drink that much water in a Stitch With Me. And I've been going for a little while now, so I might finish this thread up and call it a day. But I'm still glad that I popped in to say hi, and hopefully the next time you hear me, my voice will be a little bit better. I'm going to, after this, I'm going to get my scarf and my Vicks Vapor Rub and rub it all over my throat and wrap my scarf around my throat and get some warmth into my throat. I've been drinking honey and lemon as well. Today I'm sounding more nasally than anything because my nose is really blocked and it's not real happy. It was okay yesterday, and I probably should have filmed on Saturday. But yeah, I just couldn't do it. I just could not do it. After the video, my throat was very sore and I just didn't want to talk. So I pretty much kept quiet until Brendan came in and said, I started watching this show. And I'm like, take your negativity somewhere else. Because I could hear him in the lounge room going, getting grumpy at it. Oh, dear me. So, anyway, back to the movie. See, obviously the tablets are starting to kick in because I'm starting to jump all over the place. I gave it a solid 3 stars, and that's me being generous for the movie. The book, however, I gave a 4.5 star rating. I think I put 4 stars on Goodreads, but I would say it's closer to a 4-star rating, a 4.5 star rating. But on that note, as I said, don't waste your time in the movie. If you've watched if you've read the book, don't watch the movie. You'll be very disappointed in how badly they put that movie together. Rushed, I would even say. Yeah, it felt a little bit rushed. But yes, there was so much, just some of the nuances that they could have included it in there without going into the full, like, in depth of the book, but it just would have added so much more to the movie had they had the bit in about the general before the Second World War, and why she ended up where she ended up and all that sort of stuff. And to completely miss the last, I'd have to go back and have a look in the book, but it's either 3 or 4 chapters, to completely not even touch on them, because after the chairman, basically, because it's a love story of a coming together, not so much a love story, a coming together of 2 characters, and they come together, and then they're together for quite some time. He becomes her Dana, and they're together for quite some time, and she ends up living in the United States. So, and there's a whole thing in there about how the misconception of what a geisha actually is between the American people and the Japanese people and stuff like that. There's all of that in there. Like, they didn't really have to touch on that, but the fact that they just had them, the movie finished with them walking through a park, like, 1, cliche, 2, where's the last 4 chapters? There's a whole bit there that you missed. But anyway, I'm going to call it a day there. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video and my little bit of a rant, but I've got some full crosses in there. It's looking very pretty now. I'll get some more mapping out done, and we'll touch on this again next week, and hopefully have the block finished next week, because I'll do a little bit more on it during the week, and then we can start on the next chart or block, I'm calling them, because they're done in little blocks. But if you've made it this far, leave me a snowflake emoji or a snowman emoji down below, so I know you've made it this far. And if you have made it this far and you haven't yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and then that way you're not going to miss out on any future uploads. But as I said, that's it for me today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Hope you get lots of stitches in, and I'll see you all again next time. Bye for now.